I didn't plan to fall in love again. I'm done trying, I told myself every night, scrolling through my phone alone. I'm tired of being invisible. That was before Emily messaged me. You sound different, she said during our first call, like you actually listen. I laughed and replied, maybe I've just been waiting for the right voice. She stayed quiet for a second, then said, I feel safe talking to you. That word stayed with me. Before Emily, my life felt empty. I worked, came home, and slept. Jason once asked me, don't you ever get lonely? I shrugged and said, lonely is easier than disappointed. He shook his head and warned me, that's not living. I didn't answer because I didn't know how. Nights were long, and silence felt normal. Emily changed that fast. We talked every night. You're the last person I want to hear before I sleep, she told me. I answered, then I'll stay awake as long as you want. We laughed, shared secrets, and planned things we hadn't earned yet. She said, I don't talk to anyone else like this. I replied, me neither. I meant it the way I understood it then. One night she asked, so we're exclusive, right? I smiled and said, of course, I wouldn't waste this. She exhaled and whispered, good, I've been hurt before. I promised, I won't be the one who breaks you. Saying it made me feel strong, like I was finally someone better. She believed me, and I believed myself. Jason noticed the change first. You're smiling too much, he joked. Then he got serious. You're moving fast. I told him, when you know, you know. He replied, just don't confuse attention with connection. I brushed him off. You worry too much, I said. This is real. He didn't argue, but his silence felt heavy. My sister Rachel was worse. You barely know her, she said over dinner. You're already talking about the future. I snapped. Why can't you just be happy for me? She raised her hands and said, I just don't want you hurt again. I answered, that won't happen. I believed that more than anything. Emily and I shared dreams like they were facts. We'll travel, she said. We'll build something calm. I replied, no more chaos, just us. She smiled and said, I trust you. Every time she said that, my chest felt full. Being trusted felt like being chosen. I told myself this was redemption. All my past mistakes faded when she said my name. Daniel, she would say softly, you're different. I held on to that. I needed it to be true. I wanted this to be the story where I finally got it right. That night, after we said goodnight, I stared at my phone and thought, I won. I'm not alone anymore. I closed my eyes, smiling, blind to the truth already waiting to wake me up. My phone rang at 1:17 a.m. I almost ignored it, but when I saw Emily's name, I answered. Hey, what's wrong? Her breathing was uneven. I need you to tell me the truth, she said. I sat up and asked, about what? She didn't answer. Instead, my phone buzzed again. Check your messages, she said quietly. I opened the first screenshot. My chest tightened. Emily, wait, that's not... She cut me off. Don't, she said. Just look. I scrolled. A dating profile. My photo. My bio. Active. Recent. I whispered. That has to be old. She replied. It says active today. My throat went dry. I laughed nervously and said, maybe it's a glitch. Another screenshot came in. Messages. Comments. Hearts. Do you recognize these names? She asked. I didn't answer. She said one name slowly. Lena. I swallowed hard. She's nobody, I said. Emily laughed, but it sounded broken. She calls you baby, she said. Is that nobody? I tried to speak, but nothing came out right. Say something, Emily demanded. I said. I didn't mean for it to get serious. The moment the words left my mouth, I hated them. Serious? She repeated. We talked about exclusivity, I replied. I know, and I was serious about you, she asked. Then why are there other girls? I rubbed my face and said, it didn't mean anything. She sent another screenshot. Lena again. She thinks she's special, Emily said. She thinks you're choosing her. I shook my head and said, she misunderstood. Emily snapped. We all misunderstood? My voice dropped. I never planned to hurt you, she said, but you planned to lie. I whispered. I didn't think you'd see it. That's the problem, she said. You didn't think about me at all. I tried to explain. I was lonely before you, she replied. So was I said. Talking didn't feel real, she said. Then what did we do every night? I stayed quiet. She said, answer me. I said, I care about you. She laughed again. Care doesn't look like this, she said. Another screenshot arrived. Comments under a photo. Public. Friends reacting. Everyone can see it, she said. Do you know how stupid I feel? My stomach twisted. I never wanted to embarrass you, I said. She replied, yet here we are. She asked, how many are there? I hesitated. She said, that pause is my answer. I tried to defend myself. I didn't meet any of them, she said. So you only betrayed me online? I whispered. That sounds bad. She replied, because it is. My excuses felt small. My voice sounded fake. Emily went quiet. I could hear her breathing. I said, please don't hang up. She said, I'm still here. I said, I'll delete everything. She answered, you already showed me who you are. I felt panic rise. I can change, I said. She replied, too late. She sent the last screenshot, a message from Lena. I feel safe with you, Emily said. That sound familiar? I closed my eyes. I never meant those words to hurt you, I said. She asked softly, then why did you say them? I had no answer. Emily took a breath and asked one final question. Daniel, she said, was any of it real?
Emily didn't block me. That was worse. I sent a message and watched it sit there. No reply. I whispered, please say something, even though I knew she couldn't hear me. I checked my phone every few minutes, like the screen might feel sorry for me. I messed up, I typed. Nothing. I deleted it and wrote, I'm sorry. Nothing again. I reread our old chats. Good morning, she had written once. I answered out loud, good morning, like she was still there. I scrolled until my chest hurt. You're safe with me, I had said. I laughed quietly and said, liar. The silence felt louder than any fight we could have had. Jason called me on the third day. You sound like hell, he said. I replied, she won't answer. He asked, what did you expect? I snapped. I expected a chance. He stayed calm and said, you expected forgiveness without honesty. I didn't respond. He continued, you liked the attention. I said, that's not fair. He replied, then prove me wrong. I sighed and said, it didn't feel real online. Jason answered, but she did. I said, I didn't touch anyone. He said, you touched her trust. That shut me up. After a pause, he asked, why wasn't one enough? I whispered, because being wanted felt good. Saying it made me feel sick. At work, Nathan leaned against my desk and smirked. Rough week? He asked. I told him, I messed up. He shrugged and said, talking isn't cheating. I stared at him and said, she's gone. He laughed lightly. Women overreact. I felt something snap. Don't say that, I said. He rolled his eyes. You kept your options. Smart. I walked away from him feeling dirty. His words replayed in my head. Smart. I thought, no, coward. I had hidden behind excuses. I told myself it was harmless, but I knew better now. Every lie I told Emily was a choice. Every choice led here. That night, I called Emily again, straight to voicemail. I said, I'm not asking you to come back. I just want you to know I see it now. My voice cracked. I betrayed you and myself. I hung up feeling small. Silence answered me again. Rachel came over unannounced. You look empty, she said. I replied, I deserve it. She asked, have you told her the truth? I said, too late. She sat beside me and said, the truth is never late. It just doesn't always fix things. I nodded and said, I don't want excuses anymore. She touched my arm and said, then sit with what you did. I tried sleeping. My phone stayed dark. I whispered, I get it, to no one. I wasn't the victim. I was the damage. Denial was gone. All that remained were consequences, and they finally felt real. My phone buzzed at 8:06 a.m., a new message, unknown number. Is this Daniel? It read. I stared at it and replied, yes. 3 dots appeared. This is Lena, the message said. My hands started shaking. I think we need to talk, I whispered. No, to myself before typing. About what? She sent a link, Emily's post, screenshots, comments, names. I saw this online, Lena wrote. I didn't know about her. I replied, I can explain. She answered fast. That's what you told her too, right? I didn't respond. She sent another message. Were we ever exclusive? I closed my eyes and typed. I messed up.
she replied. You lied. By noon, another message came in, then another, different names, same questions. Did you tell her she was the only one? Did you promise her? Did you call us special? Every lie I told separately was now standing together, pointing at me. I tried answering one message, then another, but the words felt useless. I'm sorry, didn't mean anything anymore. At work, I felt eyes on me. Whispers followed me down the hallway. I heard my name, then silence. Mark stopped me near the coffee machine. Rough week, he said carefully. I nodded and said, You heard? He replied, Everyone did. My stomach dropped. What are they saying? I asked. He sighed. Enough. I said, I didn't think it would spread. Mark looked at me and said, Nothing stays private online. I rubbed my face and asked, Do you think Emily posted it to ruin me? He shook his head. I think she posted it to survive. That hurt more than anger would have. My phone buzzed again. Lena. I talked to the others, she wrote. We compared messages. I typed. I didn't plan this, she replied. That doesn't make it better. Another message came in right after. You said the same things to all of us. I felt sick. My words had turned into evidence. Jason called me that night. You're trending in the group chat, he said bluntly. I replied, I deserve it. He said, People are choosing sides. I laughed bitterly. I already lost. He paused and said, Emily hasn't said anything. I whispered, That's worse. Her silence followed me everywhere. I scrolled through social media without liking anything. Emily's name wasn't there, but her shadow was. Every post felt like it was about me. Every laugh sounded fake. I thought, she's letting the truth speak, and it was loud. At work the next day, Nathan avoided me. I stopped him and said, You said it was harmless. He shrugged and replied, You got caught. I stared at him and said, That's your advice? He smirked. Should have been smarter. I walked away knowing I didn't want to be anything like him. Another message arrived. Do you have anything honest left to say? Lena asked. I typed. I don't expect forgiveness. She replied. Good. Then she added, You lost control the moment we talked to each other. She was right. I wasn't telling my story anymore. The truth was. That night, I sat alone, phone face down. No messages from Emily. No insults. No closure. Just exposure. I finally understood something simple and cruel. Being confronted would have hurt. Being revealed hurt more. I sat across from Sophia and stared at the floor. She said gently, Why are you here? I answered, Because I ruined something real. She nodded and asked, How? I said, I wanted to feel wanted. She leaned forward. By more than one person? I swallowed and said, Yes. Saying it out loud burned. She asked, What did that attention give you? I replied, Control. She said, Over who? I hesitated. Over being left. She let the silence sit. Then she said, So you left first. I felt exposed. I didn't think of it that way, I said. She replied, That doesn't mean it wasn't true. I told her about Emily. She trusted me, I said. Sophia asked, Did you trust yourself? I shook my head. No, she said. That's where it started. I clenched my hands and said, I didn't want to be alone. She replied, So you made sure no one really knew you. That hurt because it fit. She asked, Do you want her back? I answered, Part of me does. She said, And the rest? I said, The rest knows I don't deserve it. She nodded. Then don't write to get her back, she said. Write to tell the truth. I took a deep breath and said, I can try. That night, I opened a blank document. My fingers hovered. I whispered, No excuses. I started typing. Emily, I lied because it was easier than being honest. I stopped and said, That sounds weak. I kept going. I liked feeling chosen by many because I didn't choose myself. My chest tightened. I wrote, I used words like promises without respecting their weight. I paused and said out loud, You're a coward. I typed it anyway. I was selfish. I was afraid. I hid behind screens. My eyes burned. I don't expect forgiveness. That line felt honest. I imagined her reading it. I imagined her laughing, crying, deleting it. I kept typing. You were real. I wasn't. I whispered. That's the truth. I added, I'm learning why I do this, but learning doesn't erase damage. My hands shook. I reread the letter. It hurt. I didn't soften anything. No apologies wrapped in hope. Just facts. Just shame. I saved it and stared at the send button. I said, "This is not to fix it." I pressed send anyway. The next day, I told Sophia I sent it. She asked, "How do you feel?" I said, "Smaller." She replied, "That's humility." I nodded. "I don't expect a reply." She said, "Good." I asked, "What if she never reads it?" Sophia smiled gently. Then it was still necessary. I walked home alone. My phone stayed quiet. I didn't check it every minute this time. I told myself, this isn't about her response. It felt strange saying that and meaning it. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, change isn't a performance. I realized something painful and clear. Fixing things wasn't about winning Emily back. It was about becoming someone who wouldn't destroy love again.
My phone buzzed at 7:42 p.m. Emily. I froze. One message. Dear Percher. We need to talk. I typed, I'll listen, and hit send before thinking. Seconds felt like hours, then another. Not to fix anything, just clarity. My stomach twisted. I whispered, okay, I can handle that. I called her. She answered immediately, calm but distant. Daniel, she said softly. I said, hi. She replied, hi. There was a pause. I asked, can we start? She said, yes. You need to hear this. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I trusted you, she said. Her voice was steady, and you destroyed that trust. I swallowed hard. I know, I said quietly. She continued, every lie you told me felt small until I realized they weren't small at all. I whispered, I never meant. She cut me off. Intent doesn't erase impact. I flinched at her words. They carved through me. She paused. I asked, are you okay? She laughed lightly. I'm fine, emotionally. I've moved forward. I couldn't speak. Moved forward? I asked. She said, yes, without you. And yes, it hurts, but I survived. I swallowed and whispered, I deserved that pain. You can't fix this, she said. I said, I know. I'm just listening. She added, I needed you to understand, not beg. I nodded. I understand. She went on. I learned that silence can be louder than apologies. I whispered, I hear it. She said, you can't control everything, Daniel, especially when you've been careless with trust. I shivered. I asked, do you hate me? She laughed softly, not cruel, just honest. No, disappointed, she said. Hate implies you mattered less than you do. My chest tightened. And I know I can't undo it, I whispered. She said, exactly. Accept that. It's part of growth. I realized then that she was strong. I had been seeking power and control. She didn't need to scream, threaten, or punish. Her calmness was louder than any fight I could have imagined. I get it, I whispered. I've been learning the hard way. She said, survival isn't loud. Revenge isn't always about breaking someone else. Sometimes it's just letting them see themselves. I said, I see myself. She paused, then softly said, that's all I wanted. I whispered, thank you. For the first time, I wasn't trying to fix her. I was absorbing her truth. I asked, is there anything else? She said, closure doesn't mean reunion. Remember that. I swallowed and whispered, I'll remember. She added, and don't contact me unless it's necessary, for life stuff, not apologies. I nodded, voice low. Understood. We hung up. My phone sat in my hand. Silence filled the room. I whispered, I finally hear it. Her words weren't a punishment. They were a mirror. Every lie, every selfish choice reflected back at me. I felt small, ashamed, but clearer. I realized revenge wasn't a firework. It was survival. Listening, accepting, and learning were louder than anger ever could be. I closed my eyes and said, I will not destroy trust again. The clarity hurt more than relief, but I embraced it. Closure didn't need her presence. It only needed me to change. I watched Nathan get called into the manager's office. What's going on? I asked Mark. He shrugged. Seems like he's in trouble for inappropriate messages, I whispered. Finally, Mark said. Funny how karma works. I laughed bitterly. Not funny at all. Feels like it's waiting for me too. Rachel called later that evening. You've been quiet, she said. I admitted. I can't stop thinking about Emily. She replied, That's growth, Daniel. Sitting with discomfort, not escaping it. I sighed. It hurts more watching her heal than losing her. She was silent for a moment, then said, Pain is proof you're changing. Don't run from it. At work, whispers followed me. That's Daniel, someone said. I kept my head down. Mark stopped me by the coffee machine. People still talk, he said. I asked, Is it all about me? He shrugged. Mostly. And Nathan's story is making it worse for him, not you. I nodded, realizing karma wasn't personal. It was natural. I sent a message to Emily. Nothing. I reread the text she had sent before. Closure doesn't mean reunion, I whispered. I know now. I stared at her picture on my phone and said, She's thriving, and I can't touch that. My chest tightened. Watching her move on felt like holding glass. Fragile, painful, untouchable. Nathan's punishment at work was quiet. No shouting, no confrontation, just a demotion. I overheard someone say, Finally, he's getting what he deserves. I whispered, I don't need that. Karma didn't need my interference. The universe didn't need me to fix things. It simply balanced itself. That night, Rachel and I sat in silence. I said, I used to think revenge mattered. She replied, It doesn't. Accountability does. I nodded slowly. I'm tired of blaming anyone else. She smiled softly. Then start accepting responsibility for your actions. I whispered, I will. I thought about Emily, about how she had moved on quietly, how life continued for her without fanfare. I said, That should have been me, doing the right thing from the start. Rachel put her hand on my shoulder. It's not too late to be the man you want to be. I closed my eyes. I understand. Growth isn't about punishing the other. It's about fixing myself. Mark stopped me on the way out the next morning. People are noticing a change, he said. I asked, Do they think I've learned? He shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. You know. I nodded. I know. I walked alone, phone in pocket. I whispered, No bitterness, only accountability. The city felt quieter somehow, as if it had given me space to breathe. Karma had done its work without me lifting a finger. My role now was clear. Be honest, be better, and accept consequences without anger. By nightfall, I sat in my apartment and said softly, Balance is enough. I didn't need Emily to confront me. I didn't need Nathan to suffer in front of me. Karma had its rhythm. I only needed to follow mine. And for the first time, I felt ready to. I stared at my phone and deleted the last dating app. No more distractions, I whispered. Jason called a few minutes later. What are you doing? He asked. I replied, Starting over. Honestly, this time. He laughed lightly. About time, I said. I mean it. He paused, then said, Good. Real change feels weird at first. That night, I opened old messages. Each one from women I had strung along made my stomach twist. I whispered, I don't want this anymore. I highlighted them, hit delete, and watched them vanish. One by one, the digital echoes of my mistakes disappeared. I felt a small weight lift, but realized the real work hadn't begun. I called Sophia the next morning. I feel empty, I said. She replied, Good. Emptiness is space to rebuild. I whispered, It feels like punishment. She answered, No, it's honesty. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. I'll sit with it, I said. I started small routines, mornings with no phone, journaling, reading, walks alone. Jason noticed. You're quieter, he said during lunch. I shrugged. I'm listening to myself now. He smiled. That's the hardest part, I whispered. It's necessary. Deleting old reminders didn't end with messages. I tossed notes, pictures, things I kept from Emily. No more ghosts, I muttered, feeling both loss and relief. Each item thrown away reminded me that I couldn't change the past, only my response to it. I set boundaries. No casual conversations meant for ego, no seeking validation. When coworkers commented on my quiet, I said, I'm fine. Internally, I was learning patience with myself. Silence became a friend. I learned to sit without distraction and face my thoughts. It hurt, but felt real. One evening, Jason and I met for coffee. You're different, he said. I asked, Better? He shrugged. You're grounded.
You own your mess now, I whispered. I hope I can keep it. He replied, you will if you want it more than old habits. I nodded. I do. I deleted my social media accounts one by one. No more noise, I said softly. Notifications vanished, leaving only me. I felt raw but honest. I realized chasing attention had always been my escape. Sitting alone without it was uncomfortable, but it was the first time I felt reality, not performance. That night, I sat on my bed, phone off, journal open. I whispered to myself, I'm learning restraint. I'm learning maturity. I reread my letter to Emily. Shame still lingered, but it no longer ruled me. I understood that real change wasn't about impressing anyone else. It was about facing my own reflection without flinching. Jason texted me before bed. You're doing good. Keep it up. I whispered. Thanks. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel like I had arrived anywhere. I felt real. That was enough. I leaned back and closed my eyes. I built myself from what I ruined, I said quietly, and I'll keep building. No applause, no recognition, just accountability, patience, and honesty. It was mine, and it was real.
I sit quietly in my apartment, phone off, thinking about the title of this story. She thought they were exclusive, until she found his other girlfriends online. I whisper it out loud. She thought we were exclusive. It echoes differently now, not as shame, but as lesson. I feel the weight of my mistakes pressing against my chest, and I don't flinch. I told myself it was harmless once, that I was just exploring options. Now, I see it clearly. Emily lost nothing. I did. I say it softly, almost to myself. I was the one who lost trust, love, and respect. Jason once said, the truth finds you eventually. I nod. It found me, and I finally listened. I remember her voice that night. She finally spoke. Closure doesn't mean reunion. I felt everything in that simple phrase. Strength, clarity, and finality. I whispered, I understand now. It wasn't enough to want her back. I had to understand why I almost destroyed everything, and I did. I look at the empty coffee cup beside me and whisper, love isn't in words. It's in restraint, honesty, and respect. I think of all the late night calls, all the promises I broke, all the attention I sought instead of giving. Each memory cuts, but also teaches. I say, I get it now. I see it. Rachel called last week. You're quieter, she said. I replied, I've been learning what it means to hold myself accountable. She smiled softly. That's growth, I whispered. Growth doesn't undo pain, but it builds strength. And I feel it. Slow, steady, real. I delete the last reminder of my old self. A saved chat, a profile, a picture I shouldn't have kept. I whisper, no more ghosts. My fingers feel lighter. I finally sit with myself without distractions, without excuses. Jason texts, you've changed. I reply, I'm trying to be honest. He answers, that's enough. I whisper, it is. I think about Emily again. I don't want her back. I don't need her validation. I only want the truth I learned from her. Love is fragile, and it costs what you're willing to give honestly. I whisper, I know what it costs now. I call Sophia. I feel ready, I say. She replies, ready for what? I say, real love. Not chasing attention, not seeking ego, just love that respects trust. She smiles softly. Then you'll know when it arrives. I whisper, I hope I do. I reflect on the quiet apartment, the empty streets outside, the way sunlight touches the walls. I don't need applause, I say. I don't need recognition. I just need honesty with myself. And it feels enough. I imagine the future, not with her, not with anyone yet. Just me, learning, growing, holding myself accountable. I whisper, I'm ready for love. Not because I want it, but because I've learned how not to destroy it. I close my eyes and breathe. I say one final truth. She thought we were exclusive. I wasn't. But now I finally understand what love costs. And for the first time, it doesn't sting. It settles, steady and real. I am ready.